Hey, everybody, listen. I was running late, went to church. Then I tried to change my clothes real quick because I promise you, if I would have came on screen with what I had on earlier, y'all would have been like, Diva is nude. She has nothing on, so I can't even fix myself up here, right? But listen, I'm glad y'all came through to do this love and marriage DC recap with me. I saw somebody wrote that it was a snooze fest. You're not lying. It was a snooze fest, okay? But we're going to get into it and we're going to chat about it. Before I get into it, though, I want to introduce y'all to this company called, can y'all see it? Rose Forever, okay? So they make, you see that? Is that not cute? Can you see that? I hope y'all can see it. It's really cute. It's in a velvet box here. They have square boxes. They have round boxes. And they are roses that last for 1 year. They use all vegan material. They're based out in New York, but they ship anywhere. They use natural oils to make sure that the roses last for a year, okay? And if you ever bought flowers for anybody, you know at best, even if the person has a green thumb, that the flowers probably last for about 7 days, right? So with these, they promise you that they're going to last a year. The description and all of the details is in my description box. And if you use code Grade Diva, you will get $25 off with no exception. So even if I guess something is on sale, you will still get your $25 discount applied. So try them out. Let me know how you like them. I mean, I love them. They're very cute. You know, I like to have my little flowers or plants or something in the background. So there they are. And you know what? Maybe, let's see if I could set it up like that so y'all could kind of see it as we chat today. Okay, so let's get into this and let's talk about this Love and Marriage DC reunion part 2. E, I see you back there. I hope I don't got food in my mouth, y'all, because let me tell you, I had to hurry up and eat. And Tori, I see you back there also. I'm going to bring y'all up in a minute. So let's have a pre-discussion before we even get into it, right? And so here's the pre-discussion. The pre-discussion is, even though I like winter, several parties messed up in this particular situation, okay? When you go, if anybody ever had a friend and you knew that your friend's significant other was perhaps cheating and you tried to go tell your friend, I bet you many of you, it became problematic for you, right? People don't like to hear that their spouse is cheating. I believe 9 times out of 10, they already know, but they kind of want to ignore it or they don't want to deal with it. So if you bring the news to them, if you're the bearer of the bad news, not the person who created the bad news, but if you are the bearer of the bad news, they kind of turn on you. The tables get turned somehow, and all of a sudden it's like you're hating on a good relationship or a marriage. Why would you bring this particular information to them? And I'm bringing that up for the simple fact that, winter had to expect some type of storm when you're bringing to these people that their husbands are perhaps cheating and you got receipts and you're bringing this information to them on a national platform. And I'm saying to y'all is, even if you bring this information to people and they're not even on TV, they can get irate. So what was she expecting when she brought this information to them in front of the world? It becomes problematic. Yes, Miss Queen of the Mall, it gets messy. Now, do I agree with the way the husbands handled it? Not for 1.2 seconds. But when you bring some mess to the table, you can't be looking around talking about how did this happen? How did this happen? Because you brought some mess to the table. I'm going to bring E into the building. Hey, E. And I'm going to bring Toria into the building on this Sunday. Hey, guys. And we're going to talk about this, right? First, I want to say this. There was no need for a reunion part 2, like at all, okay? They could have just made part 1, 1.5 hours, and we could have been done with it, right? We got no new information. Nothing got resolved. All they did was stop on Winter, and 2, they took the last breath out of her, and then they said, okay, bye, Winter, see you later, and then they continued on with the reunion. So let's talk about this first part when Winter pretty much, refused to give the receipts because she said she's not that chick. She would never do that. But I love you, Winter. I love you, Winter. But you would do that because you mentioned it, right? I didn't see all of it, where she did some lives after the reunion last night. And she must have answered, well, she had to have answered before I came into the live, because I pretty much asked her, well, why did you even bring it up? And she was like, you have to rewind because I already answered that. Well, and then, but she kind of answered it again later. She said, because Carlos King asked her the question, that's why she answered it. Well, somebody can ask you a question and you still don't have to answer it that way. You could just be like, you know what? I'd rather not discuss it. Never mind. I'll talk to the ladies later. E, what do you want to add to this before I go on?
I love you, Diva. Thank you so much for having me. But I am going to push back just a little bit. I am Team Winter. I think that they all gave her a shady deal. If I was Winter, what I would have said is that I mentioned the husband's cheating because the husbands on this cast are messy as hell. For Chris, Quick, and Jamie to meet with Winter's husband, pending ex-husband, and question him and try to fact check her story and cross-reference and have him, he was not a cast member. They introduced him. Chris was being messy. Quick was being messy. They said they wanted him to have an opportunity to defend himself, if I'm not mistaken. So when she brought up, their indiscretions in their marriage, to me, in my opinion, this is reality TV, it's fair game. And my issue with why I feel Winter got a kind of bad deal is because when Monique sat on that stage and said, well, this is not that kind of show. We don't want to bring up rumors. We've been through that before. We all know what the rumors about Monique are. But Monique was the bone carrier. She was the catalyst that got all of this promotion going. They needed this for ratings because, to be honest, if you cut winter scenes out, you don't have a season. You have nothing without her. So and Carlos knows that. And I just don't like the way they all got up there and played dumb. Do I believe that Jamie has been unfaithful? Of course, absolutely. They've said it. Right. I don't know how you can talk about infidelity and then when somebody else mentions it, you say, oh no, you're a liar. You're trying to destroy my marriage. The fact is, you were cheating and you were caught. And the last thing I'm going to say, because I know you have someone else on the panel, is where Winter lost me was, and I say this all the time, 100 always means 100. We don't get on stage, not the bad chick that you are, Winter, not as evolved and spiritually astute as you are. I wanted her to stand in her decisions and say, instead of saying, I don't know how this happened, I did this because, yes, this was wrong, and I did this because, and hopefully we will be able to make amends next season, something to that effect. But that wishy-washy and playing both sides, that's not bad chick energy, and that's not what I would expect of a woman who shaved the right side of her head off. Listen, you're bold, you're dynamic, you stand in that, and that's what I'm gonna say on that.
Well, and I'm gonna let Tori go, but I got to throw this into the conversation, right? Winter and her husband was supposed to be part of the main cast, but unfortunately, before they started filming, Winter found out about his problems. And she called Monique, and I only know this because I saw her on the live. She called Monique and said, listen, you got to pull us out and find somebody else because, this happened. And I'm not going on, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit. I'm not doing this show with my husband, and we're having this situation. So they were supposed to be part of the main cast, and that could be why the men brought him on, right? Now, I will say this. We all know this is clear. If it wasn't for Winter, there wouldn't have been a show. There wouldn't have been anything to talk about, so to speak, right? So Winter was their meal ticket for this particular season. But Winter did a lot of backpedaling. She also apologized to everyone before she left that stage. So my thing is, you got two husbands cursing you the heck out. Do you think I'm offering an apology to anyone and y'all going to sit there and let your men talk to me like that? They should have checked their men respectfully. This is a young lady. We can deal with her. We don't need y'all talking to her. We got this, right? And all of them, like they said, there's rumors out there. Quick said, we thick as thieves, pretty much. That's what he pretty much said. We thick as thieves. Nothing could break us. But why you got so mad with Winter and was pretty much cursing her out, but trying to play it off like you cursing a man out? If y'all think it's thieves, if nothing's going to break y'all, then why are you letting this conversation and the words coming out of Winter's mouth get you so worked up? Y'all good, right? So that's what I had a problem with a lot of things that happened. And I sat back and said, okay, we already know something in the water ain't clean. Do I believe Quick was doing what he did? Yes. Do I believe Ashley? No. Yes. Do I believe that Jamie was doing what he did? Yes. Do I believe that Ashley knew? 100%. 1 minute, and let me let Tori, you're in the building. What would you like to add to this conversation?
I was so disappointed in that reunion. I was waiting to see some receipts. I really wanted to see what Winter had, because she said she not only had pictures, but she had text messages and stuff. I wanted to see that. He could have kept that, like you said, he could have kept that reunion. And after, especially Quick, after he called her pretty much everything but the child of God, no way I would have gave any of them an apology. No way. And
I wouldn't have either. She backtracked, right? And so Debbie said,
I
there's
got
no way.
a feeling we haven't seen the last of Winter, though. I just got a feeling we haven't seen the last of Winter.
Well, we haven't, but let me see this. Let me see. There's no way my husband would be allowed to talk to any woman like that. Debbie, I agree. I would have told my husband, don't even worry about it. I got this. Don't worry about her. Don't worry about a word that is coming out of her mouth. But to sit on stage and talk to her like that was deplorable. And then when Jamie chimed in and did his words, I thought it was crazy too. Now, Quick
And they think that was okay. They really think that was okay to have their husbands sit up there and talk to a woman like that. That doesn't make either the wives look good at all.
No, it doesn't.
That makes them look bad.
Well, you know what it makes them look like, and this is our new word, gutter Barbies. She called them gutter Barbies, and you are a gutter Barbie when you're going to sit there and let your husband talk to a female that way. You are a gutter Barbie. Who does that, and where do they do that at? Monique is the worst person in reality TV so far, are one of the worst. I won't say the worst because there's some thieves and some crooks and some other things like that, right? But she is the worst in terms of being a friend. So you use Winter Because here's the other thing. Let's throw this out there. They had a pact that Winter wasn't aware of and wasn't a part of. And their pact was that they wasn't going to bring down or tear down each other's marriages, and they wasn't going to bring the kids into the situation. And the only reason why Winter got a privy to that information is because when there was a scene where she brought up some stuff, Monique, and here's the other thing, Monique and her husband called Winter. So again, why didn't just Monique call Winter? So Monique and Chris called Winter, I guess because they want to call themselves reality TV veterans, right? They call Winter and they tell Winter that's not what we doing. It's not that type of show. Did y'all think that y'all gave us better than reality TV than what we're seeing? Did y'all think this show was showing us something above all of the rest? It's not that type of show. You know why Monique made that pact? Monique made that pact because she didn't want a trickle effect of what happened on the other show and those rumors to come over to Love and Marriage DC. So she didn't really care about nobody else in their relationship or their marriage. Because if she did, and if she knew they made that pact, she would have told them, listen, we all agreed not to talk about each other's marriages, so we're not going to talk about Winter's either. So she should have made several phone calls. She should have called the other ladies and their husbands and said, remember, we made a pact. So why are we talking about Winter's family?
What can I say?
She just called Winter and wanted Winter to shut her mouth and let them continue riding the bus over Winter. I'm going to shut up for a minute and go ahead. Who wants to chime in?
Well, I want to say something because you're right. The cast, it was not let's reveal everything and let's show everything, and that's evident because even Jamie was pissed off at Lorena, which I know we'll talk about later, and the way that she was telling the whole truth. But this is not reality TV. If we're going to filter what the audience gets to see, I want you to film everything and let the storylines shape themselves because that's originally what made Housewives of Atlanta so great. What I really, really, really wish that Winter would have done, like I said, you stand in it because Monique and Chris cannot be the anchor of this show. They don't have enough weight. They're not captivating enough, and we don't need to try to push kind of rail Winter in, so to speak. I agree with Toria. I wanted to see the photographs. I wanted to see the police reports. And what would have blown me away is if Winter would have had one of those ladies on the phone and brought them to the set. Like, come on, let's make this authentic. And Monique, of all people, should know that. She concluded her last reunion with the binder. So when we talk about going full throttle, that's precisely what that means. And really, I just feel like Chris and Monique need to be friends of the show because I'm sick of them. We need 2 more couples to really make this thing dynamic. And Winter should anchor it because Winter's the one that has all the kahunas.
She sort of kind of though, right? Because where did the apology come from? And in Winter, I've seen her on lives. She's dancing around the fact that she initially came out and said that she was a relationship coach. Now, we can call wrong, but we got to call wrong on every party, right? Winter, we heard it out of your own mouth. You sat at that vegan dinner and said you was a relationship coach. I would appreciate it if you would just say, you know what? At that moment I was, and then I transitioned into something else. So she dances on her words too, right? But because she danced on her words, do I think that, she deserved the treatment that she got? Absolutely not. The other problem I had though is that this live that she did, I felt like she was willing to come back. And my thing was, and she said, listen, you got to use reality TV platform for what it is, right? You got to get out of it what you can get out of it. And that I agree with. But you are willing to let them walk all over you. That part I'm not understanding because if she comes back, it's already them against her. She can even bring in one more body. It's still going to be them against her. It's 6 people against what? 2, 1? I don't know how that's going to go down.
Most of them use the show to promote something that they're selling or doing. What is Winter doing that she has that she could lift herself up on a reality show?
She
I don't think we
actually,
could.
she wrote a lot of books. And see, that's the thing that we didn't get to see, right? She wrote a lot of books. She has she does a lot of things. She has other things to her. Hold on one second, guys. Y'all can continue on. Hold on.
Well, I will say this. I'm not interested in buying anything from Monique or Ashley. I am tuning in for entertainment. Let's make the storylines authentic. Let's make it real. Give me something I can tune in for. Let's cut all this lazy for mom stuff out. I'm over that. I don't want to see quick DJing. I don't want to see Raina and Jamie gutting these houses and transforming them. No, I want to get to the nit and gritty about these marriages. That's what the show is about. It's love and marriage. So accept the
Exactly.
posts. Do that on Instagram. Do that on your own time. But when we're on TV, give me something captivating that makes me want to tune in on a Saturday evening.
I agree.
Exactly.
Now, see, here's the
Exactly.
thing too. Carlos, somebody said Carlos only cares about the drama and the mess, and he doesn't showcase their business. Carlos only cares about the mess. Let's talk about Carlos for 1.2 seconds. I think he's a messy host. I think that he also, along with them, he set Winter up for the
Oh,
nonsense and
yes.
the shenanigans. I
Mm-hmm.
think he didn't protect Winter and he didn't give a darn. And I think after the fact, he wanted to act like, yeah, we're not that type of show. We wasn't here for that. No, no, Carlos, you was, because you didn't have to ask her that darn question. And but you know what? She answered it. So that was problematic too. But he was laughing when Ashley was saying different
Yes.
things about Winter. He was a whole hot mess. And I'm going to give Carlos King, and listen, I'm glad he has his platform. I'm glad he's building up, his own reality shows. But he gets an F for the way he hosted that reunion, because at the very least, when Quick went off on her, he should have shut it down. But then when Jamie went off on her afterwards, he should have really shut it down. So he gave her no protection. He was the worst also, and he pissed me off. But go ahead.
Because the thing about Carlos, I know he's modeling his career after Andy Cohen, but you don't get to sit up here and queen out when you're in the host chair. That's the time to be unbiased and diplomatic. You have to be fair to everyone. Remember, that's why people didn't like Mona Scott hosting the Love and Hip Hop reunion.
Yeah.
If Carlos cannot get his stuff together, he needs to pass the baton to someone else. There are lots of people who can host. His nightcap messy show, that works for him. But like you said, Diva, you don't get to stir the pot and then say, oh, he's like Monique Jr. Did I do that? I mean,
Did I
come
do
on.
that? Exactly. Carlos knew the information. He set Winter up for failure. He most certainly did. I was really, really, really disappointed in him. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way that went down at all. And like I said, the way that Jamie and Quick acted, it was deplorable. But the fact that their wives did not even step in and say anything was even worse. And I'm telling you, people do not take, when you want to tell them that their spouse is cheating, they don't take that well, like at all. Carlos is not ready for the nitty gritty. If he took the risk with the show, it would be a hit. Stop dancing around the issues. Bring it on. Bring it on and stop playing games with us. I do agree with you on that. If Winter come back next year, this show will be on his last leg. What a show. If she doesn't come back, they have no show, right? Because those three couples are not going to turn against each other. And even if for 3 minutes, why didn't they bring Tasha and Neil out? Like, why wasn't they at that reunion? Even if it was just, to say hi and bye for 2.2 seconds and say, how did you like your first bout on reality TV? I didn't get that. Like, why wasn't they there? And the fact that at the very end they do this toast without Winter, it pissed me off. But let's start the conversation on this, right? What I didn't like also is, I feel like Irena and Jamie, and I'm gonna say it nicely, had a different type of relationship. Absolutely. But I did agree with Jamie. Irena was taking this moment to be a group counseling. Okay, counseling with everybody on the stage in the whole entire world. She wanted to bring up every problem she had with Jamie, and that wasn't the moment. It wasn't the time. You want to talk about how he didn't help with Braille when the kid was 5? Come on, Irena. I had enough of her. I'm done. What
But
did y'all think about that?
But on the
Well,
contrary,
she cows
Monique
down
keeps
to him.
making it that this is for counseling and I need tips and Chris and I are at that 10-year itch. Monique keeps trying to make this about counseling even though she doesn't have the credentials. And I listen, I think that Jamie looked terrible on both parts of the reunion. I know that Winter said that they edited a lot of bad things out that quick and Jamie said, but they still look bad all on their own. I am for Arena spilling the beans because this is what reality TV is. This is what we tune in for. And I do think next season, either Arena she will have a muzzle on, or we're going to really see the cracks in that marriage because something in the milk isn't clean. But sorry, Toria, you go ahead.
He runs that marriage. He's a
Yeah.
bully. And you know when they showed the little behind the scenes when they went backstage, he was telling her what she did, threw him under the bus.
Yeah.
And she didn't stand her ground in it. She just kept on cowing down to him. I think he runs that marriage. I think he's a bully. And I'm not buying him and his son's relationship has gotten better since the show. I'm not buying that.
I agree.
Monique acts like a know-it-all. Yes, she does. And it's a social climber. I don't like her. And the producer was right that Monique is hungry for fame. I do believe that, right? I do also believe that too. Jamie is a cop, 25 years. Well, you know what? And I know a lot of cops, right? And they do have a different type of attitude and mentality. Here's what I get from Jamie, right? I get that for sure. He loves his wife, right? For whatever that means and it is, right? Do I think he's controlling? Absolutely, because I think in the back of his mind, he felt like, and you know, these are for lack of better words. I don't mean it literally, but I feel like he felt like he picked Arena up out from the gutter. When he met her, she was deeply in debt. And you know, and I'm paraphrasing, guys, but you get what I'm saying, because he said he paid off her credit card debt, right? He met her, she was in the gutter, she was a single mother, she had this child, she was lost, she couldn't find her way. I plucked her up out of nowhere. I paid all of her bills off. You know, I took care of her daughter, made her daughter my own also, gave her this house, gave her this home. And if I did not step in, you wouldn't see what you see right now before you. I think that's how Jamie feels about Arena. And for that, he's looking at her like, shut your mouth, be grateful, don't be mad about the things I didn't do. Look at the things I did do and stop complaining. I think he is that type of guy, and that's how he feels, and he wants her to shut her mouth. Now, on the flip side, let me say this and I will let you speak. On the flip side, I feel that no relationship is going to be 50-50. It's just not all the time. Sometimes somebody got to give 80 while someone's giving 20. Sometimes somebody may be giving 100 and the other person's not giving much. And sometimes it may be 50-50. It all depends on the time and situation in the marriage. I don't know if Raina did say she worked, right? But there's a lot of marriages where, not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent, where the female takes care of the children, even if both parties are working full time. It's messed up, but it is what it is. It's not an unusual situation. I mean, from what I've seen, but you know, there are some men out there where they will come and do just as much as the female does. But for the most part, even when two people are working, I seen the mom is usually the one still cooking the dinner, still making sure this homework gets done, and maybe dad helps give a bath or two. But I don't know. But go ahead.
I don't think so. First of all, I'm a modern woman. I make no apologies about that. Listen, I went to college. I got my degree. I have 2 degrees, and I didn't get 2 degrees to be a stay-at-home mom. Not to say that that's not a virtuous thing to do. I think raising your child up right and pouring into them is one of the most honorable things you can do in this lifetime, for sure. However, the problem and this is what I know from friends of mine who have 4 or 5 children and they stay at home and the man goes to work. That's a woman needs her own identity outside of the home and children. And you need to be able to make something of yourself, because eventually children will grow up, they will leave and go on to their own lives. So when Arena was saying that she had to help with the children and she was working, and Jamie's response was, well, you knew my career, this, that, and the third. I don't want to hear that, because no, if we have 3 children, because he can't tell me that he accepted my child as his own. Why wasn't the daughter there last night? How come we didn't see her then? But no, Jamie
I forgot about her. You're right. Where was she?
Yes, because he even made the comment, I had a lot of dreams for these two. It's like he only talks about, listen, that's a horse of another race. But he should have been cooking, okay? I know they had the mom there helping out. I know Arena's mom is doing the cooking, but listen, when one parent is more involved emotionally with the children, then that has a negative impact. I mean, what's the point of you being in the home if your children don't even know you're there? I said that last week on the panel, and that is evident in the way that his children respond to him. They don't feel comfortable around him. And somebody said in the comments, why is it so hard for you all to see that their marriage is good and strong? No, ma'am. The reason that their marriage is good and strong is if Arena shuts the hell up. If the kids shut the hell up and then everybody does what Jamie said, then it's good and strong. That's not good and strong. That's him being controlling and keeping all of his family in line like a soldier. People, when you suffocate people, they will do anything to escape and they will find happiness outside. I can see why Arena was talking to 3 other men. She was trying to escape. You can't suffocate people that way. That's not a good and strong, healthy marriage. And Jamie, if I was Arena, I would have told it all last night. As soon as he got me in that dressing room and started talking slick to me, Diva, just as sure as your name is Diva, I would have chin checked Jamie from here to 40 going. I would have tore Jamie's up in that dressing room. I'm sorry. You wouldn't talk to me like that. I don't give a damn what's traditional.
Wait, thank you, E. You said a lot of good points, but let me read this from Monique. Monique said that Jamie said the daughter wasn't invited to the reunion. Jason wasn't invited until the day before. That's messy.
I would have quit.
That's messy. That's messy.
And you seen how his sons act about the mother, because Carlos complimented them on their dressing and said they had style like their father, and they was like, Jamie, you said my mother.
Yeah, you know what? Listen.
He loves his mom. Yes, I love that.
He loves his mom. I think, listen, in Jamie's own way, because he is who he is, right? Does he love the kids? Absolutely. There are, unfortunately, a lot of men that feel like because they provide financially for the household, that is their contribution. And, they want the wife to be happy with it. Jamie is definitely over the top. And he definitely has his hand on Irena. She can't talk. So that's why I think at this reunion, she felt like, how is he going to stop me in front of the people? But he does still try to stop her. I think, this is messy that they wasn't invited. And I think the only reason why they probably invited Jamie Jr. was because they wanted to talk about the whole thing about, his upcoming, case or whatever the case may be. Now, I'm going to throw this out there. I think Jamie Jr. is a little delusional because he's feeling like he's going to just get off. And I was looking like, wow, Jamie, I mean, really? Do you think that you're going to get off because your parents are on this reality TV now and you think you're going to get sympathy? To me, they give them even a harsher sentence because they are on reality TV. But I was shocked. I mean, did you catch that? Did I catch that right? This brother thinks he's going to get off.
I was disgusted. And I will tell you, if what Michelle posted on that screen is true, that if I'm Arena, you only invited 2 of my children and you left my daughter out, I wouldn't show up. You don't separate my children that way. All of us come or none of us come. That's number one. However, I do feel like they're exploiting Jason. When Carlos said, well, you're the fan favorite, this, that, and the third. If he's the fan favorite, he should have been out there just as long as Winter, if you ask me. I mean, the fan favorite gets the most time. But I do feel like that's the only reason they invited Jason. And I do feel like they're exploiting this legal situation with little Jamie. You can't you can't tell me on one hand, this is not that type of show. We only want to promote positivity, but then you want to bring this young man on here to talk about his legal cases. If the case is still ongoing, because that's the way that it sounded to me. If the case is ongoing and I'm a judge and I'm seeing him speak that way, no, you're going in the slammer. Okay, we're gonna sit you down for a little while because you're too cocky. And usually people in the criminal justice field, they like to make an example out of these people who are, visible to the public. And the fact that it just came across as tone deaf and insolent. I heard him say that he's got his stuff together, but I didn't hear any accountability as far as, I learned my lesson. I'm not going to do that again. I don't know. Like I said, if I was the judge, he would be doing time, at least 30 days. Come on, Diva.
Yeah, that case was moved into the district court where he can face more time than the previous court it was in. He can get some time, and I think he does have a very good lawyer, and lawyers, they get known in these courthouses and they work with these prosecutors all the time and they come up with deals. And by him continuing some program he's in that the lawyer got him involved in, not his parents, and the job he's keeping, I think he's going to end up with a sentence, but a suspended sentence and some really stiff probation, which probation is a setup to me. I'd rather do my time than be on probation, because probation, you're monitored too much and you can't do anything. The least little thing, they'll slam you back in prison for it.
Listen, you know what? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
If he thinks nothing is going to happen to him whatsoever, he's sadly mistaken.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, he's a little delusional, but apparently so are his parents, because I would have said, you know what, he's not, he can't speak off the fly, and many people can't, right? And so on that note, he should have stayed home because his case is still pending. And yes, I think it's not good that he's the son of a cop that's going to be facing a prison sentence. I wish him well, and I hope nothing happens to them. Sorry, no probation for the level of charges. Facts. I don't know. We got to keep our eye on this. But listen, do we even think? I mean, how is there a second season without Winter? And to me, if Winter wants to come back into that jungle, I don't know. I think it's crazy. I wouldn't want to do it.
I know last week someone said Winter will only come back if she has an ally. I think that they should definitely make her a level A cast member, and she should have two friends of the show. Bring back the girl that they didn't, the dark skin girl, I can't remember her name, that you said wasn't invited. They should bring her on, give her some type of friend, because Monique ain't your friend. And second thing, I saw somebody post in the comments, they said Jason wants a girlfriend through reality TV. What is Arena and Jamie teaching that boy to think that he can get gonna get a girlfriend from being on reality TV? Jason, if you're listening to Diva, don't get no girl that wants you just because you've been on reality TV. That is a mistake. What is Arena and Jamie teaching these babies?
I think that was I just think Carlos saying, I'ma help you. I think all that was just for fun, because they know that child, they ain't letting that child date nobody. He's in that program now with Doors, and he's going to be quite busy, which I'm glad they finally got him in that program. I don't know what the holdup was, but he needs to be in that program. They can do a lot of things and get him prepared for life.
Yeah, well, let me say this. Winter is, what I will say, she do got a superpower. She know how to remain calm in like the craziest situations. So I will definitely give that to her. Monique, she knew what she was doing, pulling those games on Winter. Yes. Because I'm telling you, if it was somebody else, it would have went down on that stage. Monique threw her under the bus. Then she backed it up, put it in reverse, and she kept backing it up and going forward and pulling it back over winter. You started it off by saying that y'all really wasn't friends. Then she wanted to end it up by saying, "Oh, we're good." You know why Monique said that in my point of view is because just in case she knows that she needs Winter to do that show again, because without Winter, what would be the show? We already know that, and I don't think Ashley is too keen on Monique. I think that Ashley is playing the game because she knows that kind of the show is because of Monique, but she was looking at Monique on that stage a couple of times, and I really don't think that Ashley likes Monique, but that's my opinion. Even though I've seen them, after the show, I've seen pictures on both of their Instagrams, like Monique, Tasha, and Arena all hang out, and Winter is nowhere to be found. And pretty much Monique tried to act like Winter was invited or whatever the case may be, or how could she bring Winter around? Monique is messy boots, and I think it's really going to backfire on her. And she also told Carlos last night, I would have trusted no one but you to do this again. Girl, did you see your own performance? I think she's tone deaf also.
Yes, I have to agree with everything that you said, Diva, and I want to back it up just a bit in regards to Ashley, because I did see that when Monique was having her back and forth with Winter, and it panned to Ashley. Ashley was thinking to herself, and if Ashley is the way that I'm thinking that she is, she's probably thinking, if you call this chick your friend and you throw her under the bus with us, what will you do to me? Just to be on reality TV. I can totally see that. And I think that if you ask me, if we were to do a rating of Monique, Ashley, and Arena of who was the strongest this season, I definitely think Ashley is more, she can stand. I think her character and her storyline is more substantial than Monique's. I think actually Ashley and Arena's is more substantial than Monique. So to me, if Arena and Ashley wanted to secure their spot, they better tag team Monique next season. Give us something we can watch. Let's get these ratings to 500K.
So actually Aubrey said yes, calmness in the storm is Winter's superpower. It definitely is, because those men blacked out on her. I mean, it was crazy. I was like, I couldn't even believe, but my disappointment was definitely in Carlos King, because it was like he was being a fan more than he was being a host. I'll say that. And his fans, his fan favorites was definitely Monique, Ashley, and Arena. And Winter was at the bottom of his list. Just disappointed last night. I was like, crazy. Some Monique said, shoot, get the ratings back to 300K. I mean, and Carlos claimed it was a good season. I mean, I guess he got to say that, right? I mean, they're doing a reunion and it's live or whatever. I mean, they're filming it. So I guess, he got to say, it was a good season. But I'm like, good season in comparison to what? Monique promised us more. Carlos King promised us more. And I'm over it. Here's the thing too, right? If they really wanted a feel-good show, I think the problem is that we have been conditioned now with reality TV. If we don't see, a little bit more if we don't see the shenanigans, if we don't see the nonsense, we don't really get into it. It's like they condition us to expect that when someone steps to you, you step to them. They conditioned us to expect you come to the reunion with your receipts. You don't come to the reunion saying you got receipts, but you're too high and mighty. You're not going to show them because you wouldn't do that. So that was my other thing with Winter. If you were that, high and mighty, so to speak, because I can't think of another word, then why would you even mention it? You don't mention it and then say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to show the receipts. I don't know. How did you feel about that?
I could have just grabbed her by the neck and shook her and said, let me see them pictures. Let me see them. I want to see them now. You don't sit up here and talk about this for the all year and then don't show us nothing. Girl, ooh, I was so mad with her. And then when she apologized to them, I'm like, that's it. I'm done. Reunion over. I couldn't believe it. I went on and watched Bell Collective.
I haven't watched Bell Collective, but it's clear that Winter is casted as the villain.
Yes.
And so when we think of the villain, I'm thinking of Kenya Moore. I know that's because she's so needed and pivotal to the show to continue for another season. That can be Winter's anchor to request more money or demand more money. But I'm with you both when you say that apology. I mean, that's not. I mean, you stay in character is what I'm trying to say. And I just really, really, really think that anchoring the show around Monique was a huge mistake. A huge mistake. And I don't think that you can, if you want a season two, and if you're not going to continue with the storylines that you've already established, then we need a cast revamp. We need more people. If you're not going to fire Monique and Chris, then we need to add three more couples to it, and let's focus on 6 couples, because this is not enough. What we have right here, this won't work.
It's
I
not
don't
going
think
to
he
work,
has
right?
the money to really put into a whole lot more for the show. Carlos
That's a good
don't
point.
have the money like NBC and Universal has.
Well,
So
that's a good point. And if so, then cut their salary right now. Cut the people who's in it. Bring them
I
down just a
agree.
bit. Because like on the Housewives, I believe I heard them say, if you don't make the episode, you don't get paid. And so all reality shows should start implementing that. And I want to go back to something you said, Diva, about us being conditioned as far as reality TV. If somebody steps to you, you step to them. I agree with that. I do think that's true, especially. And I hate to say it this way, especially in Black culture, because that's something that I'll speak for me, that I was taught as a child. Somebody steps to you, then you step to them. But the way that they could have gotten ahead of this is when they had that first dinner at Monique's house and she was talking about marriage. Don't be elusive with the answers, because you are on reality TV. Your skeletons are going to come out of the closet. The way you get ahead of that is you say it. You say that, and say it strongly, because if you really have a strong foundation and you've healed and gotten through it, you put it out there before somebody else can. So I feel like that would have made all the difference with these cheating rumors that Winter is quote unquote dangling over their head. If they would have brought it to the forefront first and been authentic, it would be nothing to talk about.
Right. So they said if Winter showed these receipts, it would have been completely humiliating to Ashley and Arena. In the end, she wasn't willing to do that. No, I get that she wasn't willing to do that, but it was humiliating that you mentioned it.
She shouldn't have
So
brought
my
it up
thing
then.
is, you can't get on the train and then you want to throw the train off the tracks and say that's not the type of person I am. Well, you brought it up. You brought it up. So if you brought it up, then we got to deal with what you brought up. So this is like I said, when you have a friend, right? You got to tread lightly if you see their significant other, cheating. You got to decide. You can't half tell. Either you're going to tell or you're not going to tell. Okay. If you bring it up to them and they start asking you questions, you can't say, well, I don't really want to get into that. No, you saw them. Where did you see them at? Was they holding hands? Was they kissing? Was they this? Was they that? You can't start to tell me the story and then back away from it. No, if you're going to tell the story and finish it up. That's just my opinion. Diva, are those forever roses behind you? Yes, they are. And there's a code in the description. You can get $25 off. Grade Diva 25. Okay, and there's no conditions to it. Thanks, Diva. We'll catch the rest later. Family time. Thank you, Debbie, and thank you for the super chat. I truly appreciate it. So yeah, I don't know. And go ahead. Was one of y'all gonna say something? And I'm adding Robin to the conversation.
What about the time that he spent on saying that reality TV doesn't cause couples to break up?
Yeah. All right. We want to talk about that. Let's
What do
talk
you think
about that.
about that?
I think that a lot of these couples we're seeing now, they come on there already in trouble and they try to hide it, right? So we know for a fact now from Love and Marriage Huntsville that Melanie and Martell, when they came on the show, they was already in trouble. and they ask the other couples not to talk about it. We know with Love and Marriage DC that Monique and Chris already had these rumors out there, but the couples made a pact that we're all going to shut up about rumors, right? So Ashley and Irena, I will bet money on the fact that they already knew there was rumors out there about their husband.
Mhm.
And listen, when you put yourself in front of the camera, you indirectly, it's in the fine print, you sign up for the shenanigans. The people are going to come out the woodworks. And some of these, I'll be nice and I'll call them side chicks because it's a Sunday, right? It's Sunday. Some of these side chicks, they're looking at the wife on TV and they're wishing it was them. So they're going to start sending mess to people and throwing smoke in the game because they're pissed now that, oh, he up there with her. He told me he didn't really love her no more. He told me he was staying there for the kids, but yet he going to do this show with her. It should be me. So they're going to start sending pictures and text messages and whatever. And so these ladies, because Monique already been through it, she gave them, because remember when she was walking in the hallway so smug, did y'all catch in the hallway and she was calling herself
saw
giving
it.
Jamie tips? I can't take her. I
Mhm.
promise you I can't. I can't take her. I can't take her. She was in the hallway giving tips like, oh, don't worry about it, calm down. Don't worry about it, calm down. But Monique, when you was on that other show, you was worried about it. You couldn't calm down because they was coming for you and your husband and your relationship. But now you're telling Jamie, just take the hit. Don't worry about it. She wants the ratings and she doesn't care who the mess comes out on as long as it doesn't come out on her. But Robin, you have entered the building. What would you like to say?
I'd like to say, first of all, good afternoon to everybody.
Good afternoon.
I want to, whenever I speak on these shows, I like to say this. I'm going to preface my remarks with this is called a reality show, but it is reality based. We are presented with a picture of these people that is decided by the producers, the editors. And I say that because I have to tell you, I was humbled like heck last week. I watched something on the Food Network called Me or the Menu. And I
Mm-hmm.
went to, I was like, this chick is crazy. She hit me back and I mean, when I say she shut me down, I had to apologize. She said, oh, well, you know what? You think I'm crazy? Let me tell you why I'm not crazy. What you didn't see, and she laid out all of what really happened that never made the show. So it made her look a particular way. And
Mm-hmm.
so now I'm more cautious in my critique of what I see. This reminded me, even though I say to myself all the time that yeah, a lot of it is reality based. So yeah, you know what? I believe also that these people who have issues with their relationships, it's not new. People are all up in arms. Ooh, Chantel and Pedro, they're divorcing. I don't know. I remember last year they didn't look all right, and now they're done. But we just really have to just be really mindful that they're producing a show, they're giving us entertainment, and they have fooled us very often into believing that what we're seeing is the whole truth of the people in front of us, and it's just not 100%. Okay.
I think, Robin, though, wait one minute, and then I'll let whoever who's trying to speak. I think we're all aware of that now, right? Because many of these reality stars have told us that we don't get the whole thing. I saw one of the contracts, and the contract is brutal. It's brutal. It
Mhm.
literally tells you that we want to cut this footage any way we see fit. Because, like you said, they got to make a show.
Mhm.
And you have no control of it. Literally, that's what the contract tells you. It tells you in the contract. So when this cutting of the footage happens, and I'm sorry guys, it's my phone behind there. When this cutting of the footage happens, like you shouldn't be shocked. You know that this is how it's going to go down. And also, anybody who signs up for a reality show now, you have to know that there's going to be a villain. There's going to be somebody that they're going to throw under the bus. Okay. So you don't know if it's going to be you, but you can take a guess. If you are on a show and there's 3 or 4 couples and you're the only single person, who is the easiest target? I mean, it doesn't take Einstein to kind of figure that out, right? So tag Winter, you were it. But unfortunately, you can only be it if you give them some material to make you it.
Right.
So who would have known that they was going to be able to run with the fact that you called the husband DJ Fun Size and the other one Red Light Special? Who would have known they could make several scenes out of that? But they did. But let me read this real quick and then I'll let someone chime in. Winter was on DJ Richie today, and she said she never planned to share her receipts. She answered the question Carlos asked. Yes, I mentioned that earlier. Every person, several people have interviewed her, and everyone that I seen her on, she said she answered the question that Carlos asked, right? But check this. You can ask me right now, oh, hey, Diva, I heard your girlfriend's husband was cheating. Do you know anything about that? No, I do not. Next question. Next question.
Exactly.
So you can
Exactly.
answer the question and you have control over your answer. So she shouldn't have said, she sat there and she fed into it. She was like, yeah, I do. I got receipts. What kind of receipts? Oh, pictures, text messages, this, that, and the other. No, baby doll. You didn't have to say all of that because you wanted to protect the families. That's what you said out of two sides of your neck, right? One minute you said you're not that type of person. If you're not that type of person, then don't be that type of person, right? So what you have to say is, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have nothing. And when I said that to her, I said it out of anger because I was mad that they was talking about my husband. That's my thought on it. Go ahead.
So that was me. I
ahead.
wanted to say, before I forget, someone posted in the chat when I brought up the slashing Monique and Arena's and Ashley's pay. There are there are GOAT clout chasers that we could cast for this show. They said, let's bring on Martell and Sheree, and they'll work for basically pennies. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But also, in regards to what I think it was Robin who said, that they chop up the footage to make it look a certain way. I agree with that to a certain extent, but then also, if you sign up for it, don't get mad.
Hold on 1 second. Terrence, if you don't like what's going on here, go to another channel. See you later. Bye. Okay, go ahead.
So, but if we know, if they know this going into it, then they either need to start to speak on it like Candy, where they can expose the behind the scenes and tell what really happened, or they need to stay in character and keep cashing their checks. Because I hate it when they get on these interviews and then get mad at the fans for believing what we see and what they have given the production company to use. This is a part of the game. You're not mad when you cash your checks, so don't get mad when you have to answer the tough questions. Like with people, when you said, Winter said to you, well, I answered that question already. I know you didn't take that offensively, but I would. I don't care if you had to answer it 7,000 times. Not everybody saw it. Keep answering it. And if she doesn't want to expose the photos, Diva, can they send that to you, or can we get someone to send you all the footage and talk about it next Sunday?
You know what? Let me tell you something. I love doing these recaps, and I'm not one. There's some things that people tell me and they send to me, and I just be like, I'm not going there. Like, I don't mind going there when it's something that already happened on the show, right? I'm going to comment on it, right? But I'm not one. I'm not about to expose and do no expose or do no exclusive, and show these pictures and stuff like that. I'm gonna tell you this, Arena and Ashley, what really got them all hyped up is because they know it's true. They know it's true. And my thing is, if they were so thick as thieves, then what Winter was saying, it wouldn't have mattered to them, right? I would have sat there, even if I was the wife and I knew it was true, I would have sat there cool as a cucumber, and I would have turned to Carlos and said, I get stuff like that all the time. I really don't care. And I would have said Winter's a hot mess and she's dirty for bringing it up. All in all, they let us see them sweat. I'm not going to let you see me sweat in front of you. But when I would have, not when the cameras were still on and I was mic'd up, it wouldn't have happened in that dressing room. But when we would have gotten that car on the way home, oh, I would have been all up in his face. I would have had it. A prime example of people allowing the cheating to go on and they know it is Neo and his wife, right? She knew that he was cheating the whole time, but you just renewed your vows in April. And here it is, what? This is June, July, almost August. Here it is, almost August, and you talking about, I got to go because he's a cheater.
How you get them is how you lose them.
Well, that part right there. But he was a cheater in April when y'all spent all that money renewing the vows, and he was just buying you yet again. And so now you want to come and tell us, like, you're done. You're not going to lie to the internet no more. I think at a certain point when it gets so crazy, these women, they know, but they're not giving up that lifestyle.
Nope.
Irena,
and look how quick hurry up and told everybody, oh, we get videos and pictures all the time. And then his wife going to say, oh, yeah, we get pictures of him pouring drinks down women's throat and me. Come on. They were trying to cover it up too much.
Right. And she said, I do it too. So here's the thing. If y'all knew y'all get pictures and all of that, why was he so hyped? And he kept telling Carlos to FaceTime the guy, to call him. But they also said that the guy called them. If the guy called you, then you should have the number. You don't need Carlos to call in. Maybe you can't have your phone on set. But when I went in that fitting room, I would have pulled out my phone. I would have called that guy and been like, what's up? What's good? So they're full of it. But go ahead. Who wants to chime in?
Absolutely. I agree with that. And it's just a charade, just so they can tag team Winter, because they know that the guy isn't there. Quick knows that Carlos wasn't going to call. But it was something that Toria just said. And oh my gosh, I just lost my point. So I'm going to let somebody else speak. Oh, I just can't.
Robin, anything you want to add?
I agree that everybody probably knows each other's dirt. I also agree that if it's real, if you're going to play reality and be reality, fess up to it, because the streets have been talking. We just know it. And so that is what brings the fake, phony, and fraud on. And I find that, because the authenticity that they display in like their like moments like Quick and Ashley, we believe them. They're fun. And, we know that there are many dimensions to people. We know that relationships have so many ebbs and flows. We have loyalty, disloyalty, and we have infidelity. It's all the truth. And, and the bottom line is, like we're talking about it now, the streets are talking. People have receipts. People have seen things. People probably have definitely presented themselves like Ashley said, we get pictures all the time. Just like Neo's wife said, stop sending me videos, stop sending me photos, because they have the evidence. They've seen it. So you seen it. You decided to stick with it. Be man or woman enough to be able to stand in your own shoes, fill them up, and keep it moving.
And Robin, I agree. And you reminded me of what I was going to say. I agree with you 10,000%. But when you brought up Neo, I remember my point. I understand these women are getting a lifestyle, but there's a phrase that is coming back into rotation with the younger crowd: health is wealth. And after that Gina 2 person has come forward, it's everything that looks good on the outside may not look good on the inside. And I think people take for granted, just because a person is beautiful, that they are going to their primary care or that they're getting tested regularly. I mean, people have to start thinking about that. And when you talk about somebody like Neo, who has access to a lot of money, if you have access to a lot of money, you have access to a lot of women. The way that he treated his first wife should have been a cautionary tale. And
but hold on, E. I don't think they ever got married, those two. I don't think you talking about Moneta that has his 2 children.
They were married.
I don't think they were married.
Yeah,
Are you
they
sure?
were married. Yeah, they were married, and.
But check that, Toria, check that. I don't know why I thought they were never married, but that's fine. But the way I didn't think he had married her. And I think the way that he dogged her, because remember they had a reality show together, or she was on a reality show and he was on it with her, something like that. And when he made that woman go burn her tubes,
Yes.
That's why I said they wasn't married.
Burnham, yes.
I was like, she is not his wife, and he made her go burn her tubes, because he was playing around and wouldn't marry her, and because he didn't want to have no more kids with her. He made her go tie her tubes. Okay. Yeah, somebody said they weren't married. No, it pissed me off that he made her go tie her freaking tubes because he didn't want to have no more kids, but yet he wasn't married to her. And yet then he goes and marries someone else, and he has a
And
whole
he
family with
he
them.
was messing with Crystal
And
when he
somebody
was
needs to
still
buy
with Manetta.
Say that again.
That's why I said how you get them is how you lose them, because she knew what type of man she was getting, but she wanted that
Money.
lifestyle, and she kept having babies. When he said he didn't want any more kids, she kept having the babies, and then she would put on this facade. They were so happy and doing photo shoots all the time. Neo is a serial cheater. He's worse than Nick Cannon because he's actually going back home to his wife, where he could potentially put the mother of his children at risk to be dead. There's stuff out here now, Lord knows, you don't know what you're catching these days. If they can cure it or can't cure it, that it can kill you. And when I found out that breaking news last night about her and everything she said, I said, I don't feel sorry for her. You knew exactly what you were getting into.
She signed up for it.
You wanted the jewelry, the clothes, and because she talked about when she was on another reality show, Crystal was, and it didn't last. It didn't go nowhere. And she was happy with the lifestyle.
Toria, let me chime in for a minute. I think what happened with her was, and a lot of females in that situation, they think it's not going to be me. So he did it to some other female for whatever reason. You think that he's doesn't have the potential to do this same thing to you? Like, are you really that crazy? Or do you really think that you're just that much better than the other woman? Like, I don't get that. I don't understand it. Like, it's insanity to me. So, and like I said, I think
she thought by her doing all the freakiness that he liked, that would keep him, because she was doing stuff that his first one wouldn't do. No, you see what happened. It didn't keep.
But that's what the men are saying. The men are saying, I'm not with her because she's getting on my nerves. I'm just there for the kids, this, that, and the third. The men make these side women believe that they have what it takes to make them be better men. Okay, and it's been ingrained in our culture, even in our movies, in our music. We're taught as women that a man will change for you if he loves you, and that's something we have to get out of and make sure our daughters know better. You don't love a man and think that he will change because of that. If he is not what you want him to be when you meet him, and if those items are non-negotiable, you leave him right then. You don't get your tubes burned, and you don't make all these permanent life decisions for a man. I don't care if you're married or not. You do what you want to do. I think that's the most important and biggest takeaway for women who all are listening. You do what you want to do, and don't think that you can change anybody. If it's non-negotiable, leave him.
Yeah, well, what broke my heart when I was watching that, I was like, this chick is really going to get her tubes tied to this man, and she ain't even married to him. Yep, in 2011, so Bedside BK said in 2011, Moneta underwent a sterilization procedure, having decided with her then fiance, Neo. 2 months before their wedding, he called it off and later started a new family with a new love. I knew, though, when I was watching them on that show, I didn't like the way he treated her. I felt bad vibes from the interaction. But my thing is, you would have never got me to do nothing to my body. And you're not even my husband. You're not even my husband. No, you could kick rocks with that one. And so, all because too, he was tired of, I think he also told her he was tired of using a condom. He just wanted to be free, but he didn't want to have any more children. So he begged her, to get the procedure. So my thing is, why didn't he get it?
Yes.
And so, and why didn't somebody bop her upside her head? You know?
Well, see, here's the other thing that we got to talk about too, right? We got to talk about the way females want to value the dollar, right? So you would rather spend your life or spend your time trying to get with someone that has money versus spending your time to be able to secure your own money and be able to take care of yourself. So no matter what, you're going to be good. Okay. We know that for a fact there are some people that just seek out, finding somebody that has money just so they can live a good life or just so that they can have a baby. Somebody said because Neo is a liar. Neo's a liar. He's a hot mess. But at some point, I'm not saying that every time off the bat, at some point you know who you're dealing with, and you got to protect yourself.
Yeah, because I keep wondering how the hell are Future and Nick Cannon, if anybody who has a child with Future or Nick Cannon, it's clear that you're not doing this so your child can have a suitable, a emotionally fit father who's going to be present for the long haul. It's clear you want to upgrade your lifestyle. And that's one thing for women to make that decision for themselves, but for you to inflict that upon a child, because we don't know how long Nick Cannon is going to be here. But for them, it makes no sense. And I know Mariah Carey has to be just as good and embarrassed. I would be embarrassed to be Mariah Carey and to have a baby father like Nick Cannon. I would be disgusted.
Well, at least
she ain't thinking about him. She loves them twins, and she ain't thinking about him.
Go ahead,
and that's
Robin.
harsh commentary.
Sorry,
that's harsh commentary. That is harsh commentary on Mariah Carey, because that episode or that portion and part of his life, as we have known it to be, as it was portrayed and what we saw, is very different from this very erratic, narcissistic. What's the word? He ain't got his stuff together. That's all I'm gonna say. And this last baby, I had to stop reading the article that said that the chick did something to induce her labor so that she could have the baby before he came to New York. Come on, really?
Really? I didn't see that article.
In the New York Post.
Oh my God.
She must have the same doctor as Phaedra, because remember, Phaedra was going to do that too. So it wouldn't look like she got pregnant before the
Oh my God. You know what? I did see where I'm kind of done with him and his stories, because I think he's making a mockery out of family. I think that these women that are now, like, when you have, some people, they meet a guy, and this is before, I'm even go before social media, because now if you're a good researcher on social media, I have a girlfriend that is, they find pages that, the person is trying to hide. They know the page that the person tell them they have. There's the one page, and then they find pages that the person is hiding. So if you're a good researcher, now you can find out a lot about a person, before you even really get that deep in with them. So everybody knows Nick Cannon. If you lay down with Nick Cannon in this day and age, then you're going to get what you got, and nobody is going to feel sorry for you. For this chick to sit there and say, I'm so glad that the father of her baby, Nick Cannon, was able to support her at the birth. I'm like, I read that and I was like, okay, I'm done. This is crazy. I think Mariah's lucky because she's the first mother of his children. And they were married, and something clicked in his head. And I think he went, my opinion, a little psychotic, and he's off on this, whatever it is he's doing right now, sleeping with anything, leaving his seed in these people. And his latest banter on the fact that, most women stink down there. Now I can't with him.
Well,
he wanted more children, and Mariah didn't. Mariah didn't want no more children, and he wanted more children. She was happy with her twins. She got a boy and a girl, and she was happy with her twins. And she did not want no more kids. And she told him she was going to set him free to soil his royal oats. And if he ever grew up, she would gladly take him back, but she ain't never taking him back now.
Well, I want to expound upon my comments, if I may, because I see some people in the comments saying, "Why would Mariah be embarrassed?" And I'm saying that from my perspective. That's my personal opinion. Because if I thought enough of a man to marry him and give him 2 children, and he turns around and he has a child every 6 months, and that my children have to live with that. That is something that is embarrassing. The headlines, the lack of respect for himself, the fact that he even just came out recently and admitted to dressing in women's clothing and said that he said it was funny. Listen, dressing up in women's clothing and being a caricature, I know I butchered that word, of Black women. There's nothing humorous about that. Nick is a villain to Black women. And he doesn't really like Black women, if you ask me. If you look at his baby's mothers, none of them have those Black features. So when I say that Mariah Carey should be embarrassed, it's because I would be embarrassed if I had the first child, if I gave this man his first 2 children, and he is populating the world and giving my children all of these additional siblings. That's tough. That's an emotional load. They need counseling. They will need to understand that's true.
I think to your point, E, it's like, okay, it's fine when he first had his first baby, right after them. Listen, he got to live his life. But as you stated, when your father's out there, first of all, as a parent, once you become a parent, you have a high level responsibility, right? You are responsible. There's people looking up to you, right? And so you already had his 2 children. Okay, so what? Fine, you had another baby, right? And then after that, you have another one. Okay, all right, there was 2, but now it's 3, now it's 4, now it's 5, now it's 6, now it's 7. And you're just out there being reckless. And there is no way on this earth, and I don't care how much money you have, that you have the time to pour into these children what they need from you as a father. And there's no way that you can even begin, because I don't even know if all of these people live in the same state.
Nope.
That you can begin to like just be there for, the moments that they're going to need you to be there for. It's not that much FaceTime in the world. But on the flip side, the ones that, because the other one that is having a repeated baby by him, to me, again, these are just our opinions. To me, she needs psychological help. Because when you are raising twins solo, okay, money can't help you raise a kid. So when you are raising twins solo and on purpose, you decide to get pregnant by this man again, and you know for a fact that he is dealing with other women, like, are you crazy? Like, what is going on in your head? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And I'm just like, where's your self-esteem? Where is that in the gutter that you have this man that's clearly disrespectful to women and you're just allowing it? And for him to sit there and say, because obviously he must be talking about some of y'all too, some of his own baby mothers, that 80% of the women need hygiene help because they stink down there. Well, you need sex education help because apparently you don't know how to use a condom and you refuse to. Okay, so not only do they need help, but you need help also. He's disgusting. I think that, and I'll let you speak. Give me a minute. I think that when you are in the public eye, when you are a public figure, the fine print says you are a role model. Okay, so this nonsense of that's not what I signed up to be. Well, unfortunately, that's part of what you signed up for as being on that particular level. And to sit there running around, just leaving your seed everywhere and anywhere and being so reckless, and then to come out and say that most women stink down there. I mean, these women that sleep with him, I feel like they need mental help. But go ahead. Who was going to say something?
That was me, and I agree with you 10,000%. And if he knew anything about the pH balance, he would, and if 80% of the women he knows personally have that smell down there that he's been with, he's the one making them smell that way. That's first and foremost. Someone in the comment brought up something that I read also. The women, the baby's mothers have to go through the assistant in order to schedule one-on-one time. That and like you said, you hit it the nail on the head. It's hard enough to be there full time for the children who live in your house. Imagine having kids in 4 or 5 different states. I mean, come on, it's a unrealistic feat to do, to think that your presence is felt. The only thing he can be good at is a FaceTime father, because Nick has to work too. Okay, that's the second thing. And then also, because they keep saying, well, it's nothing for her to be embarrassed about. Listen, if I am one of the children and people are discussing my father this way, and I'm reading the articles, even his daughters, for him to say that 80% of women smell bad down there, that is embarrassing. And once you reach a professional level of legend status in your career, Mariah Carey is a legend. And for you to have this type of drama surrounding your children, I don't care what anybody says in that chat, it is embarrassing. And if I was Mariah, yes, I would think to myself every day, why the hell did I choose this man? Yes, it's embarrassing.
I think it's embarrassing too. I'm really going to agree with you on that, because it's like you have children that you're raising, and then the twins are definitely of school age. I think the rest of them may not be, except maybe some might be in pre-K or something like that. But it's like, to deal with that, this is what your father is out in these streets doing, hitting every chick and just leaving a baby. You got brothers and sisters just everywhere and anywhere. Like, it's messy. He should be more, I don't know, something happened to him. Something snapped, and I don't know what it is, but the bottom line is Nick is disgusting, and he's a disgrace. And what he's out here doing is so disrespectful on the highest level. And what is his sample? Somebody said, what is the sample size of his survey?
That's right, high vibe.
That he got 80%. Like, how many people has he slept with? You know what? I think he slept with a lot. And you know, I don't want to get too deep into this story with this young lady. The young lady that just came out, right? And says she has AIDS. And she's only 25.
27. She's 27.
27. That's still really young, right?
Yeah.
And for her to have had it, I think she said she had it for 10 years, right?
Yes.
So that means at 17. So, you know, I think social media, and I'm not going to go on too long, because this conversation could go on forever in terms of what social media has pretty much done to the world. But this social media and everybody enhancing their butts and enhancing their boobs and just showing everything and anything. And people are getting with people just from a DM message. Okay, meet me over here. We're getting it in. It is a bit much. But when these guys want to fall for lack of a better word, a big butt and a smile, and it's one thing if you're just going to sleep around, right? But if you're going to sleep around and not use a condom, I mean, that is just the ultimate, like, you're looking for trouble. You're looking for trouble. And I'm just like, I feel my heart breaks for her. But what I do admire about her is the fact that she didn't let this come out. She put it out there herself. And she's telling her truth. Like, listen, I wasn't going to the doctors. It's a mess. It not only is it a mess, I feel like I'm heartbroken, and it's so sad. And listen, we can never run our children's lives, but if you spend the time from birth to 18, they said if you at least put it in them, you got to put something in them for them to bring something out, right? If you at least put it in them, they say they will find their way back. And my thing is, what was poured into this young lady that at 17 already, even though, listen, it can happen from one time in the most innocent way. My heart is broken. I'll leave it there. Who wants to add something to that?
Well, she said that she was R-worded, and
Um,
but she didn't say that's where she got it, but she did say she was R-worded multiple times, and she said that she was
mm,
homely. So I took that to mean that the parents were not as involved in her life. But I'm going to say something, and it may be problematic to some people. But me, as a Black woman, I'm speaking for me.
right.
I I have a primary care. I have an OBGYN. You know, we have to have multiple doctors sometimes when we have to get checkups multiple times a year. This young lady said that she had not been checked in 10 years. My problem with that was not only have you not been checked, you've been all around the world. You've been with all these celebrities. And the last thing you telling me that you were thinking about is going to the OBGYN or going to the primary care. You have your priorities mixed up, young lady. Second thing, she said that when she went to the doctor and she had these lesions and she was getting really sick, they thought that it was can. Oh wait, they thought it was the C word. Thought it was something different. And she said she went to several doctors. A few of them told them she was just fine, nothing to worry about. It was just a bug. But the thing is, if nobody had even thought to do an STD test, my mind went to what's going on here. How are we diagnosing her with the C word and we're not checking everything? And what flashed in my mind, and I could be wrong, pretty privilege. It's no way that this pretty young girl could have this, and no need to check for that. No, you check for everything, and that's why selecting the best. I mean, not selecting the best, but selecting a primary care or OBGYN that you can talk to. That's not going to cut corners with your health. Is so important because I saw that interview where she was. I mean, that TikTok video that she did, and I was just thinking to myself the whole time, if this was a and I hate to say it this way, this was a young Black girl who had Black features, who was not as pretty, would she be getting this much attention? I mean, it's it's so many
Wait, hold
different
on,
ways to
hold
look
on
at
one
it.
second, me. So BK, you saying all this damn judgment? Can a sister get a break? Well, what sister are you talking about, and what do you mean judgment? Let me. You got to talk to me on BK, because what do you mean judgment? I think. See, here's the thing: we have to be able to do right. We have to be able to have a conversation, and it's okay if we disagree. I don't think that's ever a problem, but we got to be able to have a conversation. And I think when you have somebody that has not gone to the doctor in 10 years, it's not about judgment. It's about letting people know and understand that you
The
should
consequences.
be seeing a doctor.
Mhm.
So there are preventative measures and preventative care that every year, some of them are age based, and some of them are just generic to no matter what age you are. So no matter what age you are, you should at least be going to your general practitioner and getting a regular exam and getting some blood work every year. Blood work so they can see, well, are you a
Right?
diabetic or are you not?
Mhm.
Get your vital signs taken. Let me see your blood pressure. Okay, if your blood pressure is high, because high blood pressure, not only because it cause death, it can wreak havoc in your body over the years if it goes unchecked. Let me check your cholesterol levels. Let me check for different things. And at the very least, this should be checked every year, right? And then when you get into certain age brackets, and depending upon your family history, well, you got to go get a mammogram. Okay, you got to get a colonoscopy. You got to get certain tests, um depending upon your age, just so they can have preventative care. Because if you do have something and they catch it early, you will prevent certain things from happening. So with this particular young lady, has she gotten checked and had some blood work happen, she could have perhaps been on medication, and she could have also perhaps known her status and maybe not impacted or affected a whole bunch of other people.
Or
Yeah.
Now,
herself.
there are other people throughout this 10 years where she's going to have to give, who do you call that health department, the names of all of those that she remember, so that they can reach out to these people and say, hey, go get your self tested, because we have this young lady that says she slept with you, and she is of this particular status. Okay. So
Can I
wait,
say something
just
about that?
simply said, hold on 1 second, I'll let you speak, Diva. Best IBK is referring to Mariah and Nick Cannon. The thing is, we're not disrespecting Mariah, right? All we're saying is that, and for me, it would be a little bit embarrassing too, right? I had a husband, we had a set of twins together, we divorced, and now my husband is running these streets, having 29 different babies. And my kids, kids are brutal, right, in these schools. And these are famous kids. And now the kids, the first thing, back when I was growing up, they always used to say, if a person was having a fight with you, the first
Your
thing, the
mama.
way they can really get you is they'd be like, your mama.
Your
And,
mama.
that word caused a whole lot of problems, right?
Mhm.
So nowadays, kids are a little, they always been brutal, but kids would probably say to the twins, like, shut up. That's why your daddy's out there having 59 kids. So we're saying that we're not mad at Mariah. We're just saying that I can see how she's probably a little bit embarrassed that he's out in these streets behaving recklessly by just putting all these babies out there. And now she got her twins where they're going to have to, deal with the aftermath of everything that he's running these streets doing. So I hope we connected, Best IBK. I hope we got ourselves together there. But listen, we appreciate and we love everybody's comments, and we just like to have a conversation. And I don't care if you push back and you can't stand what I'm saying. I'm cool with that. But let's all kind of respect each other and try to hear what we're all saying. It's not always just like we're just trying to be like rah 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 rah. So I hope that cleared everything up. And I'm gonna bring you to add you to the program here, but you gotta tell me your name. I don't want to butcher it. Oh, she dropped off. Okay. All right. So
Can
go
I say
ahead.
something about the health? It's Robin. I
Yes.
want to say something about the primer you just gave is for a perfect world. As far as someone's health and health care, we have to remember a few things that until the Affordable Care Act, there was nothing close to universal health care or opportunities, and everybody is not, and we're very assumptive, so everybody is not covered by insurance. Some people might be young and feel like they're just not, that they're invincible and they don't need it because I feel good, I look good. And then this is why we talk about stuff like let's say Planned Parenthood. I just want my one political statement is, what I do not like about Planned Parenthood is that it allows itself to be cast as an abortion clinic. It is a federally qualified health clinic, meaning, and we know that they don't just provide abortion services, they provide women's health. They are one of the few groups or places you can go for medical care that will work with you on a sliding scale. And so we have to be reminded of that the access isn't there. I don't know this young lady. I don't know where she lived or lives. So we don't know what their experiences are. And I will share this one thing. It wasn't until I became an adult that I really started having proper health care. And by adult, I mean my first job, really. No, college. Now, my father was in the service. So, I had medical care, medical coverage. I only went to the doctor when I was sick. That's crazy.
A lot of people.
I mean, I never, and how about this? My dental care, even you and I are around the same age. So, my dental care was in the form of once a year, like in elementary school, they would give this little something and you get those little red pills and they color your teeth and then you brush them. That was until I was in college and they said, oh, there's a black dentist at the Pyramid Mall. And that was the first time I ever went to the dentist. And I was 18 and 19 years old. And by the way, at this old age of mine, I have only ever had one cavity. And
there you go.
I discovered by my homeboy Dennis, the dentist who I went to college with. But so I think that it's really we have to do a great job of a couple things. First, letting people know the importance of getting health care. If we are knowledgeable, navigating them through and to it. And then once they have some care, make sure that it's appropriate and that we have the proper advocacy. And that has been actually, that's one of my personal missions now, is about
Mhm.
advocacy, because had doctors had it their way, I would be absent limbs right now.
Mm.
And and because they just want to do these fixes that what they call fixes, which we know can result in other residual effects. But most important, and so I that's the only thing I would say about this young lady, except for she probably was young and reckless if she developed something, because there are preventive measures that can, not like a condom is not 100%, but
Right.
it sure is further away
It's
from
better than zero, right? It's better than
yeah.
zero. So here's the thing, and I guess part of it, but I became a nurse later in life. So, but part of it is that I guess I just was always taught this, right? So I definitely always went to the doctor at least once a year, and I definitely went to the OBGYN. I don't remember how early it was, but it was very early on, right? So there are clinics also, and but again, it's better than nothing. I always tell people, listen, if you just get a job just to have insurance, even if it's a job you hate,
Mhm.
get a job that has insurance, because you will always get treated better. It's unfortunate. It just is what it is. You will always get treated better if you present some type of health insurance card versus not. I think the healthcare in this country, it does need to be revamped. But there is a whole thing called preventative care. And I think at the very least every year, if somebody, you should engage in it, even if unfortunately you do not have insurance and you just have to pay out of pocket for it. I mean, if you have to pay $200 for an office visit, isn't it worth it versus you buying, and I'm gonna speak to the ladies for a minute, a two, three, 400 or $1,000 bag. So it's like, I get you may not have the insurance, but then what you have to do is you have to find ways and other people, to get it. And of course, you can jump in anytime. You can shut me up. I'm okay with it.
Well, no,
Go
no,
ahead. What
no,
would you
no, no,
like
no.
to say? What would
No,
you
we
like
have
to
to
say?
we respect the queen. This is my thing. The reason why I'm very hard on that is
Uh-huh.
because preventative care saves lives. If
Hmm.
you've been going around for 10 years, it's no way possible you'll be able to get in touch with everybody who you've been with. I mean, numbers have changed. Some people may not be on social media. And then it's not
Right.
only those people, it's those people who those people have been with. I mean, if you just take Chris Brown and Nick Cannon, for instance, you're going to need two encyclopedias just to get to the last 2 years of their lives. So
Fact.
I'm very tough when it comes to that, especially for younger women, because I am a millennial. And so I respect that healthcare, even though it's not perfect, it's come a long way.
Hmm.
And but the thing is, the girls who I know, the young girls who I know in school, they run to those telehealth apps. They do these virtual appointments, and nowadays when you have a oh my gosh, what do we get sometimes? Um, where we need cranberry juice, where we're not drinking enough water sometimes.
Oh, like a,
Then
UTI,
yes, a
UTIs.
UTI. Yes, those medications we can get in the mail now without even going to a doctor. And so, and I tell my friends who are having health symptoms, no, you don't need to go and do a virtual assessment where no one can see you. You need to go into a physical room. You need to go into an office, let somebody draw your blood. But they've made it so convenient nowadays where you can do your virtual appointments, and then you can go to Walgreens or CVS and have your blood drawn, and they'll send it to the doctor. But the reason I just truly feel that lapse in judgment of not getting tested for 10 years is so many people who have been affected. And I just, even though I know she didn't do it on purpose, I don't believe that she did it on purpose.
no, I don't
That
either.
lapse
Because
in
she's
judgment,
so brave. She's so brave to even address it like the way she is.
yeah.
Jean, just so you know, this is water. I don't drink nothing but water. I'll drink nothing but water. It's water. I just happened to pull this grass because I was rushing today. Here's the thing, too, right? I do believe that unfortunately everybody doesn't have that mentor in their life, or, you know, that person that kind of lets them know. I know a lot of people, they're very afraid of the doctor. I have friends that joke around, like they don't want to know something ain't right. They don't want to know. They just rather go ahead and pass out in the street and wake up in heaven. You know, a lot of people joke like that, but they have so many ways to prevent things now, especially if they can catch it early on. It just breaks my heart to see her in this situation. But I also think to myself too, good God, how many people has she impacted? Because even, let's pretend it was only one other person. How many people did that one other person sleep with, where, you know, it just impacted them in a certain way? It's just,
Yes.
it's very sad. And that's why I think that, you know, people shouldn't be so loosey goosey with their body, so to speak. You have to be, you listen, you're never going to know, but at the very least, try to protect yourself. Like, you know, find out some stuff from these people, and get some blood work from them. I'm sorry. If you out to share your most precious thing that you own, your body, with someone else, get some paperwork from them. Y'all both go to the doctor together, and then when they're doing the blood work, come back, they talk to the both of y'all before you touch me. I mean, you got to protect yourself, because it's just so much craziness going on out there. And there are some things, when you get them, there's nothing to take them away. Like, you can maintain and have some meds and stuff, but you just got to be more careful. And that's
Yes,
all I'm
because
saying.
we're
Yes.
not talking about people who work for FedEx and Amazon. We're talking about Chief Keef. We're talking about Nick Cannon, Chris Brown. These are people with millions of
Right.
dollars who have access to the best doctors, whether they have health insurance or not. How are you traveling all over the world and riding in fancy cars and you can't go to the doctor? Make these
Right.
men give you something more than just money.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to see people suffering from a common chronic illness like diabetes, all because they didn't go to the doctor when they started feeling different. It's hard to see, right? But there are some people who, once they're diagnosed with diabetes, see, there's a whole nother thing too. You know, the medication is built to kind of maintain the disease rather than cure it and get you off it. I know some people, they still eat what they want. They'd be like, oh, I'll just take more insulin. And, you know, there's an ignorance in that also. It's some people that they know they have high blood pressure and they're still shaking salt on their food. And it's like, good God, okay, I know you got your blood pressure medication, but the idea is for you to learn how to eat better and do better, so that you can come off these meds rather than increasing the doses of the meds. It's hard. How do you know that they don't go to the doctor? We don't know. We're just having a conversation here. But this particular young lady, she did say that she wasn't at the doctor for 10 years. She didn't go to the doctor. And she also said that initially they kind of misdiagnosed her, right? They was telling her she was okay. So I don't know how many times she went to the doctor and they told her that she was okay. And then she finally had to keep going back to say, listen, I'm not okay. This is happening. I got this lesion over here. I'm not feeling well. And I lost 10 pounds in 20 days. And that part, guys, I'm not saying she said that, but I'm just trying to have a conversation with y'all. So she had to keep going back. But there are people with insurance cards that sometimes they have to keep going back to the doctor. You told me I was fine, but I still do not feel right. Can you do some more tests? And I think I said this before. I don't know what conversation we was having. I never forget. It was the judge, and I always forget her name, but her daughter-in-law died, and she gave birth to the baby, died in the hospital, because in the hospital they was ignoring her husband in the judge, when they was pretty much saying, he kept saying, something is not right with my wife. She had a Foley catheter in her, and it was frank red blood instead of urine pouring in this Foley catheter. The wife kept saying she did not feel well. They ignored her for hours. When they finally took her for like an x-ray or a CAT scan or whatever and took her to emergency surgery, she died on the table. So it's not just about you having insurance. It's about you being an advocate for your own health and saying, listen, I don't feel right. I know you tested me, but you need to do some more tests because something is not right.
That's right. You got to speak up and really quickly. Even
Yeah,
when she was R worded, she said she did not go to the hospital because even if after that, after they R word you, you can go to the doctor and they will test you for everything without even, regardless of your insurance coverage. Isn't that
yes, they
you?
will.
Somebody pulled my coattail. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they will. They definitely will. Had a grandpa who was on a breathing machine. He still smoke, still smoke. Yes, some people just don't care enough to stop their old habits. Critic Chronicles, you know what? Some of them don't care. Some of them don't know how to stop. It's a mixture of all of those things. And some of them feel like, you know what? If I'm gonna die, I might as well die happy and continue doing and eating and whatever it is I want to do. Hey, Mel, welcome into the building. Happy Sunday. What do you want to add to this conversation?
Hey everybody! Yeah, I'm sorry I'm late. I was watching when I was, around doing my errands and stuff, and I said now I'm sitting down. I can join the conversation. And you're talking about something that's really close to my heart, and not to be too a downer. My mother, my mother years ago, about 4 years ago, she passed away, and I
Mm,
still miss her, every day. But some of the things that my family we struggled with after was that she also was telling the doctors and the people that she wasn't feeling very well because she was
mm,
diabetic and she'd been through that sort of thing for years because she was a sick woman at the end. And they would come in and they would sort of, I wouldn't say microaggress, we didn't really understand it at that time, but they were like, oh, you know what, when you're not eating all the time, then of course you're going to feel miserable. But in reality, the fact that she wasn't eating, the fact that they kept delaying the surgery and she was diabetic made it a complication. So when she went into the surgery, things happened that was fatal. So I think that now what I say to my family and friends, no matter if you're African American or Native American or person of color, Asian, or even an immigrant, you can be from Europe and not know how to speak the language. If you come here and you go to these hospitals or doctors, don't let people poo-poo you or make you feel like you're aggressive or put all these labels on you. You're just a person in the hospital who happen to be sick and have concerns. Never let them turn into a 10 when you're at a 3, especially when you're asking questions. So I think a lot of times I felt like they will give you that label that you're aggressive, you're angry. No, you're just a person who's not feeling well and you're asking some direct questions. So when they try to sort
exactly.
of, yeah, and when they try to tell you, oh no, these direct questions are coming out angry, you have to advocate for yourself because at the end of the day, you're the only thing, you're the strongest line of defense for yourself.
Lorraine, I don't know where this comment came from. Was it something we said on the panel or something someone said in the chat? You saying doctors don't just give you any test. This is a false representation. The doctors only give you what is covered by the insurance. They do ignore. I'm not sure what you mean by that. No, most of them will tell you that they will let you know, well, this isn't covered by the insurance. This is not. For example, I recently had my colonoscopy. I was due for it again. And my girlfriend, she told me the prep for a colonoscopy is brutal to say the least, right? It's brutal. But I won't get into all of that. But my girlfriend told me they had a different prep now where it's 3 pills you can take and it will clean out your whole body versus, they do some other stuff where you got to do a fleece enema and blah, 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 whatever. So when I went to my doctor and I was like, listen, my girlfriend got a prescription for these 3 pills. I don't want to go through all this brutal stuff. Can I get that? He said it's not covered by insurance. And so then he gave me the ticket, the prescription for the other prep. But now I will say that I would have asked him, I should have asked him how much it cost to get the
Hmm.
pills because the prep, if anybody ever had it for a colonoscopy, is darn near brutal and I couldn't stand it. I hated it. So and what you can still get the test, if it's some test that is not covered by your insurance, but they most of them will tell you if you get it, this is how much you're probably going to have to pay out of pocket. But most preventative care, it is covered under your insurance. Most preventative care. So I don't know. But yeah, but Mel, to your point, and everybody was saying the story I was telling, it was Judge Hatchett's son's wife, right? And Mel, to your point, it's always difficult because some of us were trained like listen to the doctor. And by trade, I'm a pediatric nurse. Okay, I'm no longer working in a hospital, but when I worked in the hospital, that's what I did, a pediatric nurse. And so what happens is, I don't want to put this narrative out there that, all doctors are bad. I don't care what subject we talk about. There's going to be good people. There's going to be bad people. There's going to be people who really care. There's going to be some people that don't care, right? So, but for the most part, and I have seen doctors where they have come into a room, and no one else could figure out what the heck was going on with this patient. And these doctors are so in tune to their profession. They walk into the room and boom, they're like, nope, they got this, that, and that. Give them this man, that man. And it's like a miracle. The person becomes like well again and they're a new person. But I do think that you yourself know your body best. And doctors are not miracle workers. You have to be able and not shy away from telling them every single detail of how you feel in order for them to come to the best conclusion of what is going on with you. And then they could do blood work and other tests to give you a concrete diagnosis. So Ms. G said, I had a friend who kept asking her doctor for a CAT scan because he kept losing weight. They finally gave him one, and he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
Wow.
That is sad.
Well,
that is sad.
I was going to say too, to follow, and that is a sad thing right there. I was going to say, to follow up, what I learned with my situation with my mother is that don't let them test you. Don't let them test you for everything in the book. Make sure they test you in a smart way, because sometimes they will say, "Oh, I'll just test you and just shut you up." But in reality, you want to have a conversation where you're not the guinea pig. And sometimes people get fatigued, especially if they have cancer or whatever. So whenever you have these ailments, they will just throw the whole book at you just to be quiet and say, well, we haven't found anything, but they haven't tested you correctly. They need to sit down. Don't shut you down so much. Be present with you. Have a conversation. If you're not feeling that, don't go into surgeries. Don't do these things until you feel like you've been heard. I think that's the simplest thing I would say I've learned from my family's interaction. If we don't feel heard, then we're not going forward in this relationship. We're going to find somebody else to hear us so we can talk about it and we can sit there. It only takes about 20-30 minutes to detail what's going on. For somebody to come in and just shut you down after 3 minutes and say, oh, you're just like everybody else. Sir, ma'am, no, I'm not. Our situation is different. Everybody's different. So please see me as an individual. Don't just sort of give me a token answer. That was a very fatal thing that happened in our family that we're still dealing with. So I think that's why I'm a little, more direct in this moment, because I have very firsthand with this. And we were a family that just was about respect. We didn't want to go out there and look like a hot mess. But I learned now you don't have to be a hot mess. You can be very assertive, and you can be very, direct about what you feel. And if a person doesn't understand and they want to label you with these sort of things that you see on TV, if you're black or color or you're a person from another country, that you're aggressive, then you're going to talk to somebody else.
Can I say, Mims, I want to say I had my last hospital experience earlier this year. I had probably my worst experience where I literally told one doctor, not only do I not like you, I don't trust you. And I had to put this thing all the way up to the top where the head doctor had to come and see me, because among the things that happened, we talk about these microaggressions. When I went on my kick, when I was complaining, it was a plethora of doctors. And I said, I understand the geopolitical issues here. I know that we're in the Bronx where I live. I live in the poorest congressional district of the nation. There is an assumption made about the typical patient who comes here because of the catchment area. However, don't look at me and see what you want to see. You better look at me and see what I'm giving you. And I have been in situations where I've like, you people will not condescend to me. You are not the boss of me. You're not going to tell me what you're going to do. You're going to help me make a decision by providing with the appropriate information. And I have dealt with this for the last few years, even to the point when last year I was in the hospital like around 8 or 10 times. And in one of those visits, a doctor came in and he says, okay. And I swear to you, this is exactly how he spoke to me. Okay, Miss Moore, we're going to do what we call a bone marrow test.
Mm.
And I said, is that what you call it? Is that what everybody calls it? He said, well, that's what it's called. I said, okay. He said, now, let me explain to you how it works. I said, okay. He said, the first thing we're going to do, I said, you're going to provide a local anesthetic. You're going to do a punch biopsy. And I started talking fast. And he was like, wait, how do you know this? And I said, because I'm a doctor. And he was like, oh, but wait, flip. He started treating me collegially. And, like it was such a different take. And then when it was over, I said, by the way, I'm not licensed to practice medicine in New York. As a matter of fact, I'm not licensed to practice anywhere. I'm just very well read, and people, they're so assumptive, and that is annoying. And that's how, one of the reasons you also have to know how to advocate for yourself. You can't, I was in the emergency room last year, and I talked somebody out of letting the doctors amputate their toes, because I was like, he's like, and I heard him, the hospital, the ERs are crowded. And they were talking to him. As soon as the doctors left, I said, listen, let's talk about this. And I talked to this man, and I was like, you have, he had osteomyelitis. I said, you don't have any necrotic tissue. I said, why don't you go for aggressive antibiotics first? And if that doesn't work, tell them then you try something else. But don't let them take off your appendages at all. So yeah, we have to find ways to really speak up and speak out and to report, and not just take crap from people because they have the paperwork that we don't have. That doesn't mean that we can't be discerning. It means that we're not good or critical thinkers, and best of all, knowing our own bodies.
Yeah. You know what? You got to get a second opinion. You definitely got to take care of yourself. And I will say this, that, and it's hard when you've been trained indirectly to eat a certain way and to live a certain way. But I do believe, but this is just my own personal belief, that, the food we eat causes a lot of the problems that we have. And if you're able to kind of get out of that bad eating habit, so to speak, and I'm talking about the high butter, sugar, salt. Sugar is the devil.
All the good stuff. All the good stuff.
All the good stuff, right? And what's crazy too? I saw a documentary where it says sugar is just as addictive as, and I don't even see, sometimes with YouTube, you don't know what words you can and cannot say. But just is addictive as like the drug that starts with a C, right? And when you go to wean yourself off of sugar, you do have similar effect. Like you get the shakes, you just like you be fiending and looking like, can I get a piece of candy? Like you really are looking for that sugar. Your body is dependent on it. So it's like, yeah, sugar feeds cancer. Yeah, but yeah, sugar's the devil, and it's hard to get off of it. So it's like, you do have to be your own medical advocate, right? You do have to just maybe say, okay, let me get a second opinion before I move forward with this. But I think the biggest thing I want to have with the conversation that I hope people get out of this is, see your doctor, go for preventative care. And then in addition to that, whether you have insurance or not, there's always a clinic somewhere that you will be able to go to. And, sometimes you do have to wait longer in the clinic, but the wait is going to be worth your life and the health and you just getting that, exam once a year, right? And I do know like mammogram is one of them, right? Just getting yearly blood work is another, because cholesterol, high blood pressure, it can all wreak havoc on your life. And I know we kind of veered off from the Love and Marriage DC, but I think it was a good conversation to have, because so many people out there, you just need to know. Like when I had my son at 35. I want to say, I don't know the age where they say it's a high risk pregnancy. I think 35 is the age to say high risk pregnancy, right? So I had my son at the age of 35, and I was fine the entire pregnancy. And to And you know what, that is a good thing. Yeah, maybe I will. So I was fine all the way up until the end. So he came a month early. He was premature, but I had something called health syndrome, right? And I don't want to get too deep into that. You can look it up, but it's like elevated enzymes. There's a lot going on, but they call it the silent killer. Okay. So, and I wasn't even in pain. Like I had a little headache, and I would never forget, I was at my mom's house. I had a little headache, and my stomach hurt a little bit, but it wasn't anything where I felt was so, life threatening, right? And I knew I wasn't scheduled to have my son until the next month. So I called my OBGYN, and he was like, just meet me at the hospital. Let me just see, and he said, what's the worst going to happen? I'll send you home, right? So I was like, all right. I went to the hospital. I was with my mom. I was like, we'll go get pancakes later. Like, whatever. He's probably going to send me home, right? I get to the hospital, and she's laying down. She takes my vital signs, right? And I saw, like, the nurse gave me a funny look, but she didn't say anything. And so I wasn't facing the vital sign machine, so I didn't see, right? And then she was like, I'm just going to take your vital signs one more time. I was like, all right, whatever. I'm laying there, still cool, whatever. She takes it again. It was something crazy. My blood pressure must have been 200 over one something. It was extremely high, out of control. When she took it again, she yelled and started screaming. She was like, get in here. I need a baby monitor. Long story short, I ended up having an emergency C-section. And I never forget the nurse from the day, because I had went there early in the morning. The nurse from the day, she stayed way past her shift. And she came in the room. I was in the ICU afterwards. I didn't even see my son. I haven't seen him. Like they took him out of me. He was born. I'm in the ICU. I never laid eyes on him yet. And so when I woke up, the only thing I said to the one nurse, I said, how is he? And she said, he's fine. He's in the NICU, right? And she said, I had to come see you. She said, because I can't believe you're still here.
Oh my
And
God.
so, yes. And I was like, oh my God, right? So my OBGYN at the time told me I was fine. I didn't need a high risk OBGYN. So I had just my regular OBGYN, which in hindsight, I should have had a high risk one, right? And so, no blame. I'm not doing a blame game here, but I'm like, I literally went to him 2 days before, and I was thinking to myself, well, did my blood pressure really jump this high in 2 days? Now, another thing I did have, my feet were completely swollen. And when I went to him, I never forget, I did tell him, I was like, my feet are so swollen. And once again, like everybody else, right? They brush you off a lot. I'm going to call it a brush off, right? He was like, you okay? You're okay. That's fine. That happens sometimes. But I mean, my feet were so swollen that, I wear a size 8 shoe. I had to get an 8.5, and I could only put on flip-flops, right? Because that's how swollen my feet were. But he told me I was okay. Like literally, I saw him 2 days before, and then 2 days later, I almost died, and my darn baby almost died. And because I had this HELP syndrome, and I was saying to my mom after the fact, I feel like something should have been caught way before this point. Like, right. So I was blessed, and thank God we both survived. But I never forget when that nurse said that to me. In that moment when she said that to me, for me, it changed the course of my life. And this is just my belief. I felt like, God saved me and my baby for a reason. And, I lived differently from that moment on. Like that's what that situation partly did for me. But it was crazy. And I had to get blood transfusions and everything. I think I literally didn't see my son until probably 3 days later. So he stayed in the NICU for a while. I think I stayed in the ICU for like, maybe it was a week and a half. But when I got out, he still was in, and maybe he got out 3 days later than me. But it was crazy. And he was tiny. He was like 4 pounds. I want to say 4 pounds, 17 ounces. So he was tiny. It was crazy. But it's just like, you know what? Now, hindsight, I would have pushed a little bit more because, like I said, my feet were extremely swollen to the point where, but he, you know, my doctor told me, oh, just go home and like lift
Put
your
your feet
feet.
up.
Like, yep, there you go. There you go. There you go. So could you imagine? Could
Mm-hmm.
you imagine? And I'm telling you, to the point where I had to get a whole new shoe size just to walk around. Um, so he said, I have to admit, some of these high risks, never heard of them. They thank you for having this discussion. It's crazy. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot. So happy that's God. Yes, listen, listen, thank God. Yes, I was very grateful. I never forget it. But like I said, my entire pregnancy, I was perfectly fine. I was running the streets. I was still working in the hospital. And at the time, I was working a night shift in the hospital. I was working 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And you know what? God bless anybody who works that shift. I was never a night person, but in order for me to get into the hospital at that time, that was the only shift they had open. I can't stand that shift. I'm a day person. It was dreadful. It
Wow.
was dreadful. 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning. It's like, whoa. And God bless all the nurses, all the doctors, everyone who can do that shift. Kudos to them. The moment I had my son, I told them I will work in Target before I come back to the 7 p.m.
Right.
7 a.m. I just was like, I can't do it, because the way I survived it was I would work my 3 days in a row. So it was 3 days, right? And people was like, oh, you got 4 days off. It wasn't really like you had 4 days off, because the fourth day you were so tired. It was like a wasted day. And then what it also did for me too was, when I was waking up, all of my friends and family, like, they was like winding down, and I was just waking up and ready to start my day. And you know, their day was kind of closing out. Like the what do they call that clock in your body naturally? It's like, I'm
Circadian
losing my,
rhythm.
yes. It's all thrown off. And do you know, there are proven documents that people that work night shifts, it kind of shortens their lifespan. You know, it's proven documents on that. It's like, it's so crazy. But anyway, Sin, you said that was your sis for 18 years. You loved it. Listen, I think night people, you either love it or hate it. It's either for you or it's not for you. Like, I used to ask all my night girls, like, how did you survive this? How did you do this? And they was like, no, you just got to do this. You got to do it. Girl, I never got used to it. I'm a day girl, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You got me. That night shift, I'm done. I can't do it. As an RN, you know that you can go to the health department for free. There are some clues along the way. Nick Cannon was diagnosed with lupus, and you can bet that they ran an HIV test on him. I'm sure they have. But now this part I didn't know. I didn't know as an RN, you can go to the health department for free. That I didn't know. And see, but the thing is, I guess what we would really need to have a conversation about is, where can people find all of the free access to healthcare? Because some of them just don't have it. And I have to say this too, it's unfortunate and it's very sad, but a lot of people that have Medicaid and Medicare, they don't get treated the same. It's not right, but you know, the truth is the truth. There's some you know, when you call the doctor's office now, what's the first thing they ask you? What insurance do you have?
Insurance.
They ask you, what insurance do you have? And my thing is, why does it matter what insurance I have? If you take the insurance, let's go, let's get it. Let me make my appointment. But yeah, they really literally ask you, what insurance do you have? And then they kind of go from there, which is messy in and of itself, right? So Chris, you said for 5 years I worked 6A to 6P. See, I can do that for 28 days. Oh God, now see, that would have killed me. Also, you work 6A to 6P for 28 days, and then 6P to 6A for 28 days. We rotated every 28 days, and now I have to take medicine to sleep. Yeah, because that's messy. That's messy. What job thought of that schedule? I could choke them. That is really
the fire
jacking up
department
my
does
mind.
that too. The fire department has something like that as well. They call it the wheel.
Oh, I don't like that's crazy. Some doctors don't take Medicaid. High Vibe, you are absolutely correct. Some do not. Some do not. And it's just so messy. Now, I also there is this I was trying to get I call this natural herbalist doctor one time, right? And they was like, oh, we can help you like wean yourself off the sugar, this, that, and the other. If I tell you how much this place wanted, I'm like, well, okay, apparently y'all clearly only catering to the rich and famous because who can afford? I think just the testing alone was $1,200, and they said all of the testing. They clearly told me on the phone is not covered by insurance. But then even everything they give you after that was not covered by insurance. And it was just this astronomical amount of money. And I'm like, well, Dad, who can afford to come to you? Oh, so Chris, you're a police officer. God bless you, girlfriend. God bless you. I didn't know they did crazy hours like that. That is crazy. It's true. Night shift shortens your life. I really heard that. Philly PD rotate first and second shift, but third shift never rotates. Is third shift 11 to 7
To
a.m. in
7.
the morning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what, see, the hospital did that before they came up with the 12-hour shifts. They used to do 7 to 3, 3 to 11, and 11 to 7. But, they found that this 7A and 7P thing kind of worked. Yeah, well, God bless you, that with those rotating shifts and all of that, like, right? It's a lot of work. So Mel, before we close out, anything else you want to add to the conversation? I want to thank everybody for hanging in there with us because we did switch gears. But sometimes you got to switch gears because good conversations come out of the conversations that we're having about, our little housewife messy shows that we love. But it's good that these conversations come up because preventative care is extremely important. You really have to protect yourself. So Mel, anything else you want to add? Any final words?
Well, yeah, I want to say first of all, I love when I tuned back into the channel. And I heard that conversation. I had to jump on real quick because that just touched my family. We were affected by that kind of thing, so we still dealing with still dealing with the after effects. But for me to show, I would say this, and I think for all programs like the Housewives or Love and Marriage DC, I feel like for Winter, you know what? I think that I wish that she would have been a little more assertive in her reunion. As you said, she definitely got eaten up, eaten alive. And I don't. One thing I don't understand because it happened on New York City years ago. It also happened a lot on Beverly Hills before the way they have it. Before Lisa Rinna got there, where sometimes there'd be these one-time hit kind of people that show up there and they entertain it, but they get to that reunion, they get totally dogged out. And I don't understand if you kind of feel that Andy don't like you or Carlos don't like you, and the girls are not really seeing you. Well, that's the time to show up and show out. That's the time to really just go the hell off if you want to, because you say, you know what, in life, let's say that you're working in a job you don't like, and this is your last day, and you just been eating it and taking everything they had to give you. But that day you're doing your job, but you're not taking no crap from nobody. So I think that that's what's going to happen. So I never understand why the ladies never understand. This is my last time. Portia got the memo. She got it because when she was there one of those seasons, she said, "I'm divorced. I got no storyline here. I'm gonna come up here. I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna twirl. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna do." And she kept herself to be there the next time. She was the one person I've seen recently that actually got the memo that when you get there, this is your last chance. You either make it or break it. So I think that for Winter, I wish that she would say, you know what, if they're not my friends, well, I can let them know exactly what I want, and I'm going to bring the receipts because I'm never going to see you again. So I'm going to be as messy as I want you right here. I need the ladies to do that. I need every reunion the cast to show up there as this is going to be my last reunion. It's gonna be short. It's gonna be like a step below a Love and Hip Hop reunion. We ain't gonna have no shooting, but we definitely gonna have. We ain't gonna have no shooting. We definitely gonna have people showing up and turn out. But listen, you gotta go there and act like this is your last time. And you know what? In your mind, when you look in the mirror that morning, said, "I'm never gonna be on TV again, so I'm gonna go there and act a fool, honey. I'm gonna go up there and just go crazy."
Give us a show, right? Give us a show. You know what? I do agree with you on that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. I'm done. That's what I want from these reunions.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you on that. But I think Winter, from what I heard her talking on other people's platforms when they're interviewing her, it's like she's willing to go back. And so I think that she tried to leave the groundwork for her to go back. But I think the part that she's missing is, though, that if you go back, you're not going back to a kumbaya moment. You're not going back to these girls embracing you. You are going back to them. They're going to use you again as the sacrificial lamb.
You
Like,
know what,
do you really want to go for that?
Miss Diva, I would tell Winter if she listens, Miss Winter, you better knock and get on your knees and pray. Miss Kenya can take you on her wing, and then she can show you how to be the lone woman against the whole cast. That's what Kenya did for a long time on that show till they all liked her.
She did.
You have to be that woman. You have to be that woman that can say, you know what, I'm showing up. My mother, and I think of her a lot. She loved, it's a controversial picture, Going with the Wind. Well, it was a scene where Scarlett showed up and everybody thought she was like the tramp of the town. She showed up in red. And she stood up there and like, you know what, I am this. This is who I am. I like, that was fierce. That was totally fierce. So I think that, you know what, Miss Winter, they don't like you, honey. Then you revel in it. You don't like me, honey. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna be louder than I want to be.
You know what, Mel? On that note, because at first I was thinking she shouldn't go back, but you are right. She should go back and show up and show out. Listen, Black Swan, email me. Okay, you got to email me because I did my runs this weekend. You won the book when I did my last book review. So please, I want to mail it off to you. So please email me. Yes, Winter said if she goes back, she may actually curse somebody out and repent later. Well, you know what, then I'm glad she said that. But see, I think to Winter's defense, I'm gonna say she probably was in a little bit of shock this reunion, because I think I would have been shocked too. I would have expected the ladies to come at me, but for Quick and Jamie to come at her, I think it was an all-time low, and I think it shocked her, and I think it really shocked her that the wives didn't stop their husbands. I didn't watch the whole live because it was too many going on, but somebody interviewed Arena and Jamie, and they asked, I think it was the Jasmine brand, and I think they asked Arena, like, you know, were you okay when your husband went against Winter? And she was like, yeah, I was fine with it. And I'm like, come on, woman, you have been married 26 years. And to me, when, you know, the great thing about, you know, getting older and aging is you would hope that you grow just a tad bit, right? And the things that you perhaps would have done in your 20s, to me, it shouldn't be something that you would do like in your 50s. I mean, you should have some growth there, right? And yeah, I would have blacked out on somebody like in a hot second in my 20s. But, you know, at this stage of the game, I think before I speak, or at least for the most part, I really try to, right? And so Arena, you should have been the first one to say, you know what, Jamie, even though I kind of take it back a little bit because she can't use her words with Jamie. He doesn't, you know, he's the stronghold in that relationship. But I would have tried to say, listen, honey, it's all good. Don't worry about her, right? High Vibe said Arena and Jamie need therapy. Yeah, like high level therapy, like every day sit in the therapist's chair, do a telehealth visit, do whatever, but they do need therapy. So Robin, we're about to close this out. What are your final words?
My final words is I like Mel's idea of just going to the reunion and showing out. I like that. That can be one person's way of assuring that they edit me. They may have edited me, but this is who I really am. That's the first thing. And second, I do appreciate the turn that this chat has taken, in that we talked about things that affect us, our real lives. And I think everybody who participated, it was good for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I liked it too. I enjoyed it. It was a good Sunday, right? And listen, we got time to get back to the mess because tomorrow we will be recapping Roa. And then on Tuesday, we're going to recap Married to Medicine. But Miss G said Arena is a puppet like Chris. You know what? You hit the nail on the head. They're very similar relationships, just with reverse roles. Monique is running her relationship and Jamie is running his relationship, okay? And neither one can speak out of turn. God forbid Chris speaks out of turn, Monique will snatch his throat out. And the same thing for Arena, Jamie will shut her down. And he knew them. That's how pissed he was. He knew those cameras were rolling, and he still told her off in that fitting room. So that tells you right there that imagine if he would say that knowing the cameras are rolling. What does he say when they're home alone?
That's true. You know, I was
It's
going to say
crazy, right?
this
Huh?
conversation. I was going to say too. I was going to say this was a good conversation. And I like you said something too just now, Miss Diva. You said that you would have been shocked. You see, in my family, all the ladies in my family, don't shock them, because when you shock them, that's when they really become extra. That's when they really become. Yeah. So the last thing you want to do for the divas in my family is to shock them. You want to get them fair warning, because when you shock them, then you're gonna have a fight on your hands. So
It's
yeah,
gonna be a problem. It's
yeah,
gonna
yes,
be
yes, ma'am. Oh, absolutely. You kidding me? Don't shock them.
it's gonna be a problem.
No, no.
Listen, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this Love and Marriage Recap DC reunion part 2. I said it in the beginning, it was no need for a part 2. It was very boring, it was lackluster. It gave me nothing, okay? They just continue to disrespect to Winter, and if they really think they can have a show without Winter, they're sadly mistaken. I'll see y'all tomorrow for a recap on Roa. Have a good Sunday. Bye, everybody.
Right.
Bye.
They really think they can have a show without Winter.
Exit.